The massive alien ship hung above Earth like a dark cloud, its metallic surface reflecting the sunlight in strange patterns. Commander James stood at the control center of Orbital Station Alpha, his weathered hands gripping the console as he watched the transmission from the Galactic Council unfold. "Your species is too aggressive, too unpredictable," the alien representative stated, its silvery skin gleaming under the lights of its chamber. "We have observed your history, your wars, your conflicts. You cannot be trusted with the power of interstellar travel." James felt his jaw tighten. Humanity had only recently developed its first faster-than-light drive, and within months, the Council had appeared. They hadn't come to welcome Earth to the galactic community. They had come to contain it. "We have the right to explore the stars," James responded, knowing his words were being translated and broadcast to the Council ship. "You can't imprison an entire species in their own solar system." The alien's expression didn't change. "We can, and we will. This is not a negotiation. This is a sentence." In the days that followed, more Council ships arrived. They positioned themselves in a perfect sphere around the solar system, their advanced technology far beyond anything Earth could counter. Military leaders called for immediate action. Politicians demanded negotiations. Scientists scrambled to understand what was happening. But it was already too late. The Council ships activated their devices simultaneously. A strange, shimmering barrier began to form between the ships, expanding and connecting until it enclosed the entire solar system. The barrier looked like a soap bubble stretched across the stars, distorting the view of distant galaxies. Earth's own ships tried to breach the barrier. Their weapons had no effect. Their fastest ships couldn't penetrate it. Even communications couldn't pass through, except for one final message from the Council. "You are contained. For the safety of the galaxy, you will remain in your solar system until you prove yourselves worthy, if ever. This is our final word." The Council ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving humanity trapped behind their invisible wall. Earth's most powerful telescopes could still see the stars beyond, but they were now as unreachable as they had been before the invention of space travel. Panic spread across Earth in the following weeks. The stock market crashed. Governments fell. Riots broke out in major cities. The dream of reaching the stars had been snatched away just as it had seemed within grasp. But Commander James saw something different when he looked at the barrier. He saw a challenge. In an emergency meeting of the United Earth Council, James stood before the world's leaders. His uniform was crisp, his posture straight despite the exhaustion of the past weeks. "They think they've imprisoned us," he said, his voice echoing in the silent chamber. "But they've just given us the greatest gift possible: time and motivation." The Council members looked at him with confusion. "We were rushing into space, scrambling to catch up with their technology. Now we have to do it our way. Build our own path to the stars. They think they know humanity's potential. They haven't seen anything yet." His words struck a chord. Slowly, the fear and anger began to transform into determination. Humanity had never responded well to being told what they couldn't do. The next day, the United Earth Council announced the formation of the Solar Development Initiative. Every nation would pool their resources, their brightest minds, and their determination into one goal: building a civilization within the solar system that would shame their jailers. As James watched the announcement from Orbital Station Alpha, he smiled. The stars beyond the barrier seemed to twinkle with possibility. The aliens thought they were protecting the galaxy from humanity. Instead, they had just challenged humanity to become something greater than anyone, human or alien, had imagined possible. The barrier shimmered silently in space, marking the beginning of humanity's greatest test. The race to prove themselves worthy of the stars had begun, but they would do it their way. Earth would show the galaxy exactly what happened when you tried to cage the human spirit. The exile had started, but it wasn't an end. It was just the beginning. 50 years had passed since the barrier went up. The old Earth was gone, transformed by necessity and ambition. Where once there had been nations competing for resources, now there was a unified solar civilization, reaching deeper into space with each passing year. Mark worked at the edge of human expansion, guiding his mining ship through the asteroid belt. The massive vessel's arms stretched out like a metal spider, carefully breaking down a spinning rock for its precious metals. He had been born in space, part of the first generation who had never felt Earth's gravity. "Control, this is Deep Miner 7, he called through the comm. "We've hit something unusual in asteroid at 2245. The response came quickly. "Define unusual, Deep Miner 7. Mark stared at his scanner readings. Metal. Refined metal. And it's old. Really old. Within hours, research ships arrived. What Mark had found wasn't just metal. It was the first proof that humans weren't alone in the solar system's history. Hidden inside the asteroid was an ancient alien outpost, abandoned millions of years ago. Dr. Linda, the lead researcher, floated through the alien corridors, her lights illuminating walls covered in strange symbols. "This changes everything," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "The Council didn't just trap us in our solar system. They trapped us in a library." The discovery sparked a gold rush across the asteroid belt. Mining ships became research vessels. Every rock large enough to hold a secret was carefully examined. More ruins were found, each holding pieces of forgotten knowledge. But the biggest discovery came from Mars. Deep under the red planet's surface, in a canyon that had once held ancient rivers, they found it. A massive complex of alien machinery, still humming with power after millions of years. The Mars research team, led by Dr. Linda, worked day and night to understand its secrets. "It's not just technology," she explained to the Solar Council. "It's knowledge they didn't want us to have. The aliens who built this, they were different from the Council, more advanced, and they left it all here, waiting for someone to find it." The ruins revealed technologies that the Council had never imagined, ways of manipulating energy, matter, and space itself that went beyond conventional science. The ancient aliens hadn't just left their machines, they had left their knowledge, preserved in crystals that could interface directly with human computers. Earth scientists worked tirelessly to understand these new concepts. Testing facilities were built in the orbit of Mercury, harnessing the sun's energy for experiments that would have been impossible on Earth. The colonies on Mars expanded as more researchers arrived to study the alien complex. But not everyone was focused on the ruins. Some, like Mark, looked to the future. The asteroid belt was transformed into a network of habitats and factories. Ships moved between planets carrying resources and people. The first children were born on Mars, their bodies adapted to its lower gravity. "We're not just surviving anymore," Mark told his crew as they watched a new habitat being assembled. "We're building something new, something better." The Solar Development Initiative had exceeded all expectations. Fusion power, perfected using knowledge from the ruins, provided endless energy. Automated factories in space produced materials that were impossible to create under gravity. The first steps of terraforming began on Mars, using techniques that would have seemed like magic 50 years ago. But the greatest change was in the people themselves. The children of space looked at the barrier not as a prison wall, but as a challenge to be overcome. They grew up learning both human science and alien knowledge, their minds open to possibilities that their ancestors had never imagined. As Dr. Linda stood in the alien complex on Mars, watching new discoveries being made every day, she thought about the Council and smiled. "They wanted to contain us," she said to herself. "Instead, they gave us time to become something more." The barrier still shimmered in space, unchanged after 50 years. But behind it, humanity was changing in ways that would shock their jailers. The Council had meant to imprison them, but they had locked them in with exactly what they needed to surpass their captors. The next 50 years would change everything. 100 years into humanity's exile, the solar system had become unrecognizable. Mercury, once a scorched wasteland, now gleamed with massive solar collectors that wrapped around its equator like a metallic belt. Their surfaces tracked the sun's movement perfectly, capturing enough energy to power humanity's entire civilization. Peter stood at the observation deck of Venus Station 1, watching the massive floating cities drift through the orange clouds below. The planet's harsh surface remained untouched, but the upper atmosphere had become home to millions. Cloud harvesters extracted water and minerals from the thick Venusian atmosphere, while massive gas processing plants produced breathable air. "Remember the old videos of Venus?" his colleague Tom asked, joining him at the window. "Just 100 years ago, everyone thought this planet was impossible to colonize." Peter nodded, checking the atmospheric readings on his tablet. The floating cities used advanced materials discovered in the Mars ruins, allowing them to stay aloft indefinitely while resisting the planet's corrosive atmosphere. Each city was a self-contained world, connected to the others by a constant stream of transport ships. But Venus wasn't humanity's greatest achievement. That honor belonged to Mars. The red planet's sky had changed from rust to a deep blue purple. Massive atmospheric processors, built using the ancient alien technology, worked tirelessly to thicken the air and warm the surface. The first oceans had begun to form in the lowlands, their waters rich with engineered algae that produced oxygen. "Control, this is Terraform Station 5. The radio crackled. "The new bacterial strain is performing better than expected. Oxygen levels are up another 2% this month. In orbit around Jupiter, the situation was even more dramatic. The gas giant's larger moons have been transformed into thriving colonies. Ice miners on Europa supplied water to the entire system. Ganymede hosted the largest space dock ever built, where ships of all sizes were constructed in the low gravity. The asteroid belt had become humanity's industrial heart. What was once a scattered field of rocks was now an organized network of manufacturing centers. Automated mining ships collected resources, while massive factories processed them into everything from spacecraft components to consumer goods. "We're ahead of schedule," Peter said, reviewing the latest progress reports. "The Saturn colonies will be ready for permanent habitation 5 years early." The transformation wasn't just physical. Human society had evolved to meet the challenges of space. New languages developed, mixing Earth's old tongues with technical terms and concepts that had no translation in traditional speech. Children born in space thought in 3 dimensions, their minds adapted to life without a constant down. The Council's barrier still surrounded the solar system, but it had become little more than a backdrop to daily life. Many of the younger generation had never known anything else. They focused instead on the vast opportunities within their cosmic prison. "Have you seen the latest data from the Titan project?" Tom asked, pulling up a holographic display. "They've managed to modify the atmosphere processors for methane instead of oxygen. We could have habitable domes there within a decade." Peter studied the numbers, impressed. Humanity had taken the alien technology found in the Mars ruins and pushed it far beyond its original capabilities. They didn't just copy the ancient designs. They improved them, adapted them, combined them with human innovation to create something entirely new. "The Council thought they were punishing us," Peter said, watching a transport ship dock with the station. "They never understood what they were really doing. By forcing humanity to focus inward, to solve problems with only the resources of their solar system, the Council had created exactly what they feared most, a civilization that developed along completely different lines than their own. Human technology now worked on principles the Council had never imagined." As the sun set on Venus Station 1, casting the cloud cities in golden light, Peter thought about the future. The solar system was becoming crowded with human achievement. New habitats were being built every day. New technologies were being developed at an incredible pace. And somewhere, in research stations across the system, scientists were working on something the Council never expected, a way to break free of their prison using powers they had never imagined possible. The next phase of human development was about to begin. Dr. Emma stood in front of the holographic display, watching the simulation run for the 100th time. The barrier's energy patterns flowed across the screen like waves on a digital ocean. After 150 years, someone had finally found its weakness. "Run it again," she ordered, her eyes fixed on the data streams. The lab, hidden deep within Titan's research complex, hummed with power as the computers processed the simulation. The breakthrough hadn't come from studying the barrier itself. It had come from the ancient ruins on Mars, combined with a century of human innovation. The aliens who built those ruins had understood something fundamental about space and time that even the Council had missed. Dr. Emma, her assistant, called from another terminal. "The quantum readings match. It's not just a theory anymore. This is real." The discovery was elegantly simple. The barrier wasn't actually a wall. It was more like a lens, bending space in ways that made faster-than-light travel impossible. But if you could bend space in a different direction, one the Council had never considered, you could slip right past it. "Send the data to the Solar Council," Emma ordered. "Mark it urgent." Within hours, research centers across the solar system were buzzing with activity. The pieces had finally come together. Humanity had discovered not just a way around the barrier, but a completely new method of faster-than-light travel. They called it the Mirror Drive. In a hidden shipyard orbiting Jupiter, the first test vessel took shape. It was small, barely large enough for a crew of 3, but it carried humanity's hopes with it. Commander Allen stood on the observation deck, watching the final components being installed. "It's beautiful," he said, admiring the ship's sleek design. Unlike the Council's bulky vessels, this ship was elegant, built around principles of space manipulation that they had never imagined. The day of the test arrived. The small ship, named Breakthrough, positioned itself near the barrier. Sensors across the solar system turned to watch. This was humanity's first attempt to break their chains in over a century. "Mirror drive powering up," the ship's engineer reported. "All systems nominal." Emma watched from the control center, her heart pounding. The ship's engines began to glow with a strange, shifting light. Space itself seemed to ripple around the vessel. "Drive at full power," came the report, initiating breakthrough in 3, 2, 1. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a reflection in a pond, the ship appeared to split in two. One image remained in place, while the other slid sideways in a way that hurt the eyes to watch. And then it was gone. Seconds stretched into minutes as everyone held their breath. Had it worked? Or had they just witnessed another failure? The answer came 3 minutes later, exactly as calculated. The ship reappeared, well beyond the barrier's range. "Breakthrough to control," Commander Allen's voice crackled through the comm. "The mirror drive works. We're free." Cheers erupted across every station, every colony, every habitat in the solar system. After a century and a half of imprisonment, humanity had found their way back to the stars. But Emma wasn't celebrating yet. She was already looking at the next phase of the plan. The mirror drive wasn't just a way past the barrier. It was an entirely new way of traveling through space, one that worked on principles the Council had never discovered. "Begin mass production," she ordered. "I want a fleet ready within 6 months." The Council had made a crucial mistake. By isolating humanity, they had forced them to develop along completely different lines. Human technology now worked in ways they couldn't understand or predict. As Emma watched the test ship return through its mirror-like portal, she thought about the Council's worlds out there, still using their ancient methods of space travel. They had no idea what was coming. "Send word to all colonies," she said. "Tell them to prepare. The exile is over." The universe was about to meet a humanity it never expected, one that had turned a prison into a crucible of innovation. The stars were waiting, and this time, humanity was ready for them. The Council's monitoring station picked up the first sign of trouble on a quiet afternoon. A ship appeared at the edge of Sol's barrier, but from the outside. The impossible had happened. A human vessel had broken free. The Council chamber erupted into chaos as the news spread. The ancient races that had imprisoned humanity gathered in emergency session, their forms flickering as holographic projections filled the grand hall. Impossible, the council leader declared, its crystalline form shimmering with agitation. The barrier cannot be breached. But the evidence was undeniable. Not only had humans escaped, but they had done it using technology that the council's best scientists couldn't even understand. The mirror drive vessels slipped through space like ghosts, appearing and disappearing without using any known form of faster-than-light travel. Commander Williams stood on the bridge of the Starbreaker, humanity's first diplomatic vessel, as it approached a busy trading station. The alien ships scattered at their arrival, their crews stunned by the sight of a human vessel so far from Earth. "This is the Earth ship Starbreaker," William broadcast. "We come in peace, seeking trade and dialogue." The response came from an unexpected source. The traders, a species known for their business acumen, were the first to approach. Their ships, decorated with elaborate patterns of light, drew alongside the human vessel. "Your arrival was unexpected," the trader representative said, its translator converting its musical language, "but potentially profitable. We would hear what Earth has to offer." And Earth had much to offer. The centuries of isolation had forced humanity to develop technologies that the galaxy had never seen. Solar collectors that could power entire worlds, atmospheric processors that could transform hostile planets, and most importantly, the mirror drive, which made the Council's transportation networks obsolete. "Your technology," the trader said, examining a simple fusion cell. "It's different. Not just advanced. It works on completely different principles." William smiled. "We had to find our own way forward. The Council gave us no choice." News of humanity's return spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Council tried to contain the information, but it was too late. Ships from Earth were appearing everywhere, offering trade deals and technological exchanges that many worlds found impossible to resist. The Council called an emergency session. "These humans must be contained," the leader demanded. "They are disrupting the natural order." But their own member worlds were already breaking ranks. The allure of human technology was too strong. Why use the Council's expensive and heavily controlled faster-than-light networks when the mirror drive could take you anywhere instantly? "The military option is no longer viable," a junior Council member reported. "Their defensive capabilities exceed our projections, and several key military worlds are already negotiating with Earth." In the space of just a few months, humanity had done what the Council had feared most. They had changed everything. But not through conquest or aggression. They had done it through innovation and trade. William stood at a viewport on the Starbreaker, watching alien ships dock with their first off-world trading station. Humans and aliens worked side by side, exchanging goods and knowledge. "Your isolation taught you well," the trader representative said, joining him at the window. "You learned to think differently, to see solutions where we saw only walls." The Council's influence was waning. Their carefully controlled galaxy was transforming as human innovation spread. But it wasn't the violent upheaval they had feared. Instead, it was a peaceful revolution of ideas and possibilities. "Send word to Earth," William ordered. "Tell them to prepare for more visitors. The galaxy wants to trade." The stars that had been denied to humanity for so long were now open to them. But they weren't conquering them. They were changing them, one innovation at a time. The Council had tried to cage humanity to prevent them from disrupting the galaxy. Instead, they had created exactly what they feared most, a civilization that could transform everything they thought they knew about the universe. And this was just the beginning. Captain Thomas watched from the bridge of his ship as Earth's latest innovation spread across the alien world below. Massive atmospheric processors, refined from the designs found in the Mars ruins, transformed toxic gases into breathable air. A world that the Council had declared uninhabitable was becoming a paradise. "The colonists can begin landing next week," his science officer reported. "The air is already breathable in the lowlands." This was happening across the galaxy. Worlds that the Council had written off as useless were being transformed by human technology. The solar collecting systems perfected on Mercury were bringing power to distant planets. The floating city designs from Venus were being adapted for gas giants throughout known space. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving another request for protection. It's the third one this week." The Council's authority was crumbling. More and more worlds were turning to Earth for help and technology. The humans weren't conquering anyone. They were simply offering better solutions to old problems. "Your people change everything you touch," said Ambassador Rod, a tall alien from a world that had recently broken away from the Council. "But you do not destroy. You transform. You improve." Thomas nodded, watching as another ship appeared through its mirror portal above the planet. The mirror drive had changed everything. The Council's control over faster-than-light travel had been their greatest source of power. Now, with human ships able to go anywhere instantly, that power was gone. "The Council has called another emergency session," his political officer reported. "They're trying to pass laws against using human technology." But it was too late. The change couldn't be stopped. Worlds that had been dependent on the Council for basic necessities were now self-sufficient thanks to human innovations. The careful balance of power that had kept the Council in control for millennia was falling apart. "They fear us more than ever," Thomas said, reviewing reports from across the galaxy. But not for the reasons they expected. The Council had feared human aggression, human warfare. Instead, they faced something far more devastating to their power: human innovation. Every solution humans had developed during their isolation now offered new possibilities that the Council had never imagined. On 1,000 worlds, human technologies were being adapted and improved. The Council's stagnant systems were being replaced by more efficient human designs. Even their most loyal worlds were beginning to question why they had followed the Council's restrictions for so long. "Another diplomatic mission request," the communications officer announced. "The mineral worlds want to discuss converting their mining operations to human standards." Thomas smiled. The Council had spent centuries convincing everyone that their way was the only way. Now the galaxy was discovering that there were other possibilities, other paths forward that the Council had either missed or deliberately ignored. "Send them our standard response," Thomas ordered. "We're happy to help." That was the key difference. Where the Council demanded obedience, Earth offered assistance. Where the Council restricted technology, Earth shared innovations. Where the Council saw only one path, humanity showed many. The ship's sensors detected another Council vessel attempting to monitor their activities. They didn't even try to hide anymore. They couldn't understand how the mirror drive worked, so they couldn't track human ships effectively. "Should we acknowledge them?" his first officer asked. Thomas shook his head. "Let them watch. Let them see exactly what they created when they tried to cage us." The Council had wanted to prevent humanity from disrupting their carefully controlled galaxy. Instead, their actions had forced humanity to develop in ways they could never have predicted. Now that same galaxy was transforming itself, using human innovations to break free from centuries of Council control. "Set course for the next world," Thomas ordered. "There's a lot more work to do." As his ship prepared to engage its mirror drive, Thomas thought about how differently things might have gone if the Council had welcomed humanity instead of fearing them. But their fear had created exactly what they had tried to prevent: a humanity that could reshape the galaxy. Not through war, not through conquest, but through the simple power of showing people that there were always other ways forward. The galaxy would never be the same. Commander Roberts stood at the podium of the new Galactic Assembly, looking out at the gathered representatives of 1,000 worlds. The Grand Hall, built in Earth's solar system just beyond where the barrier once stood, symbolized everything humanity had achieved. 200 years ago, he began, my ancestor watched as the Council tried to imprison humanity. Today, I stand before a different galaxy, one where we all move forward together. The chamber was a marvel of human engineering. Like the floating cities of Venus, it hung suspended in space, powered by solar collectors based on Mercury's designs. Representatives from every known species filled the seats, including members of the former council. The old council leader sat in a simple chair now, its crystalline form dimmed with age. The absolute authority it once wielded was gone, replaced by a new system of cooperative governance that Earth had helped establish. "Your people have changed everything," the leader admitted during a private moment before the session. "But not in the way we feared. We expected conquerors. Instead, you became teachers." Earth's solar system had become the heart of galactic civilization. The barrier that once imprisoned humanity had been transformed into a memorial, its energy patterns now powering a massive transportation hub. Ships from across the galaxy arrived daily, using the mirror drive technology that Earth now shared freely. "The Mars Academy welcomes students from all worlds," Robert announced to the assembly. "Our universities, research centers, and training facilities are open to all who wish to learn." The ruins that had helped humanity break free were now part of the largest scientific research complex in known space. Scientists from every species worked together, combining their knowledge in ways the Council had always forbidden. "We've detected signals from beyond the galaxy's edge," a researcher reported during the session. "Using modified mirror drive technology, we could reach them within a year." The assembly erupted in excited discussion. The old council would have forbidden such exploration. Now, a joint mission was already being planned, with ships and crews from dozens of worlds. Venus had become a proving ground for atmospheric engineering, its successful transformation inspiring similar projects across the galaxy. Mercury's solar collection systems were being adapted for stars of different types. The asteroid belt industries now supplied resources to hundreds of worlds. "Earth remembers its isolation," Robert continued. "We remember how it felt to be caged, to be told we weren't ready for the stars. We choose a different path. We choose to share, to teach, to help others reach their potential." The former council worlds had integrated fully into the new galactic society. Their ancient technologies were being upgraded and improved through collaboration with human scientists. The rigid hierarchies of the past had given way to partnerships and mutual exchange. "The humans taught us to think differently," said Ambassador Rod, now a senior member of the assembly. "They showed us that progress doesn't have to be feared. That change can make us stronger." As Robert concluded his address, he looked at the Great Seal of the new assembly, a design showing Earth's solar system with its barrier transformed into a gateway, surrounded by the symbols of all member worlds. "We stand at a new beginning," he said. "The stars are not our limit. They are our starting point." The assembly chambers erupted in applause. Representatives from worlds that had once feared humanity now stood together as equals, partners in exploring the universe. Later, as Robert watched ships arriving through their mirror drive portals, he thought about how differently things had turned out from what the Council had feared. They had tried to prevent humanity from disrupting the galaxy. Instead, humanity had shown the galaxy how to grow beyond its limitations, not through force, but through innovation, not through conquest, but through cooperation. The Council's greatest fear had come true. Humanity had changed everything, but they had changed it for the better, creating a civilization where all species could reach for the stars together. As another ship disappeared into its mirror portal, carrying explorers to the galaxy's edge, Robert smiled. The exile had ended long ago, but its lesson remained. Sometimes the greatest prison is believing there's only one way forward. Humanity had found another way, and now the entire galaxy was finding new ways with them.